From the outside, this house in a rural patch of Union County is idyllic.
It's so hard to see this house looking like a normal house now.
But it is also,
I just remember,
home to so many secrets.
so much pain.
Walking outside the home, 29-year-old Alex and 32-year-old Hope can't help but remember a childhood they wish was just a nightmare.
Survival mode, I think, is my main thought when I think back.
Growing up, this woman, Mercedes Farquharson, adopted Alex at a young age in Hong Kong. She took in Hope and her biological sister, who didn't want to be part of this story, from England, where they were in a household with a difficult marriage. When the three girls got a little older, she told them they were headed to the U.S.
It was always that America is the land of dreams and opportunity.
It was dreamlike, but not in the way they were hoping.
I never stepped into a school until I was almost 16 years old.
The girls were not only denied school, all contact with the outside world was blacked out from their Murrow home. The women say they were given caffeine pills and forced to do manual labor all hours of the day. They were starved, lived in unsanitary conditions.
It was literally like Noah's Ark. She had like 350 chickens. She had chickens inside. We didn't have a bedroom.
And were beaten routinely.
In her frustration, she just used the blade part of the razor and bashed my head with it.
They went through modern-day slavery for years.
I've definitely had people who asked, why didn't you guys try to run away? Just living in that fear of truly believing that you could be killed. There was just no way that we were even going to try.
That was until neighbors reached out to the Department of Social Services, which pulled them from the home. Hope was 18. Alex was 15.
The DSS car drove in, and I remember seeing the car driving in through the reflection on that window and then turning around.
Alex and Hope's experiences at this home represent an issue that isn't often talked about: labor trafficking.
We really need to assess what already exists.
Nearly 100 miles from Alex and Hope's childhood home is a meeting going on that is rare in the state.
To my knowledge, we're the first task force within the state of North Carolina to address it.
Rachel Parker is the anti-human trafficking program manager at World Relief Triad, a nonprofit in central North Carolina. She leads the Triad Labor Trafficking Task Force. The group includes people from law enforcement in the healthcare and legal fields. It's been going on for around a year and is admittedly a new concept for officers.
Everything I know about labor trafficking I learned in the last 14 months.
Labor trafficking falls under human trafficking, but Parker says it's often glossed over and may even be more prevalent than the other type of trafficking, which involves sex.
We can't eradicate human trafficking without eradicating both.
So what is labor trafficking?
It is the use of force, fraud, and coercion for the process of inducing someone to perform that forced labor.
Parker says traffickers often target vulnerable populations like foster kids, people who are homeless, and in Alex and Hope's case, immigrants.
She'd say, well, you're illegal here. And if you leave, they'll find you and bring you back to me.
People who are trafficked are sometimes nannies, work in agriculture or in construction.
A trafficker can look like anyone, and a trafficking victim can look like anyone.
It's why members of the task force learn what to watch out for, from someone appearing malnourished to working excessively long hours to avoiding eye contact.
There's just a huge knowledge gap.
That knowledge gap is key, but World Relief also says labor trafficking is often not a focus of many police departments. Funding is also hard to find. The task force's original leader was laid off earlier this year when the state didn't renew funding for a one-year grant. High Point Police Captain Tim Ellenberger, who has retired since we spoke with him earlier this year, says tackling the problem can't wait any longer.
I've done this for 28 years. My hope is that someone doesn't have to go 28 years to figure out that they've missed these signals.
We'd have to pack the van up and...
The warning signs were there for these sisters. Around 15 years since they escaped their childhood, they've gone to college, are working, and Alex will soon be a mom.
It does make me kind of sad because this is such a beautiful house.
As we returned with them to their home this February, the current owner of the house, who has no connection to the women's former caretaker, came outside and invited us in.
This room is the hardest one to be in the house. Because this is where everything bad happened, yeah. Oh.
The women showed us the torture they had lived through.
We used to have to kneel
And we'd be
like
here.
this while she was berating us.
Long-lasting pain these women hope people carry with them, so they have a better sense of what could be going on behind anyone's closed doors.
It's so important to remember what life was, because it's honestly a blessing just to be able to make your own decisions, be free, go to school, work, and contribute to society.
Now, charges against Mercedes Farquharson, who was supposed to be the girl's caretaker, were dismissed by a judge because she was considered mentally incompetent. Both Alex and Hope tell us she often referred to herself as Jesus Christ or the Messiah. Farquharson is now reported to be overseas, and the sisters have said they have not seen her since they were rescued. In the studio, Reuben Jones, Spectrum News.